maybe, oh,
Ooh, oh, she's starting
okay,
it.
I did that.
okay. So the topics that I'm concerned about, school boards. I know in Mesa County and Colorado Springs and Woodland Park and Douglas County and on and on and on, there is an attempt to take over school boards by people who really don't support public education. And Project 2025 is sort of a similar kind of uh, agenda that a lot of people have. And I don't want this committee to overlook the fact that November of this year, there are school board elections. And we need to make sure that there are good school board candidate forums that the league helps sponsor around the state, especially in these key areas where we're at risk of school boards being taken over, as some of them already have. Charter schools is a really big issue because it's broader than that. It's privatization.
Mhm.
And I am also a member of Advocates for Public Education Policy, A4PEP, and we are working with the league and a whole bunch of other organizations to try to educate people about the privatization movement and how it's going into schools, starting with charter schools, but also Amendment 80, which was a voucher proposal, is probably going to come back in 2 years. And so we need to continue educating the public about that. Um, the State Board of Education, you may not realize, they had officer elections. And in my little world, that was excessively controversial because the the Democrats are 5, the Republicans are 4, and one of the Democrats voted with all the Republicans to elect the vice chair, who is a newly elected member of the State Board of Ed, who is a Moms for Liberty person. And her name is Yasmin Navarro, and she is now the vice chair of the State Board of Education. And so people are really going to need a close eye on the state board and what happens there.
And
Of
she
course,
was,
adequacy in school funding is huge. And then finally, equity. Um, there are all different levels of equity, and with the movement to stop DEI, the the demonization of what they call CRT, critical race theory, which isn't taught in our public schools. But there are a lot of equity issues that our students of color are dealing with. And then, of course, there's the LGBT students who are also being demonized. So that's my short list. There may be some other huge issues that come up.
thank you, Evie. And we'll take you up on that, Reader's Digest version of school finance when we get to it, probably around the time when they start working on it, or if it comes up sooner. We'll take advantage of your knowledge and expertise. So
May I?
thank you everybody for being here. It's excited to have you here. You can see there's a lot there's a lot going on in education, and there's a lot of things that need to be done, and there's a lot of things we need to keep an eye on. I just wanted to, I didn't have a chance, or I didn't purposely to. My background is I've been involved with education. I was a physical educator in District 11 in Colorado Springs, starting in 1969, and I taught there 11 years doing that. But, I happen to be one of those weird people that likes junior high kids. So I went to graduate school and got my master's and doctorate in curriculum instruction with a focus on middle school education and creating middle schools. That's another whole conversation. But anyway, after that, I taught at the University of Northern Colorado for 18 years, teaching teachers. So I'm really involved with teacher education and issues around higher education. And what needs to be done there as well. So, and the rest of the time, I guess I've been involved with League for over 30 some years, primarily working with voter service, but I'm an educator and we need to get on top of this. There's just a lot of things that I'm concerned about that we need to watch and stay one step ahead or make our own plan to keep the things that we want to keep going in education. So I probably, at all additions, I'm really interested in everything, the issues that people brought up. Certainly we've had issues on our school board here in Greeley, but it's calmed down. But we have an observer on there, keeping an eye out. We've had an issue with banning books. I think how our school district 6 created an excellent process for working with people who wanted to ban books. So we can have that conversation sometime. But last but not least, I don't want to forget higher ed and what's going on with higher education and the Commission on Higher Education, what plans they have. We have the University of Northern Colorado here. We have a president who's very interested in funding or lack thereof. So I think we need to keep an eye on that as well. We'll add that to our list. Beth, time for the task force website. What I wanted you to all look at is what we have currently on the task force website, but most importantly, what is the purpose of our task force? So maybe some of you have been there to visit it and maybe some of you haven't, but I wanted to point out a couple things because I'm going to give you some homework assignments. One of them is to look through our website and maybe come back next week. We're going to probably next month, we'll probably spend these 2 months getting organized, and then we'll start putting some programs together and finding out what we need to do to help support the educational LAC team. But did I lose Beth?
Nope, I'm here. I just wanted to say real quick
Sure.
before I share. For those who don't know, LWVCO did file an amicus brief in the case against the Woodland Park School Board for violating open meetings laws, and that should go before the Colorado Supreme Court. I don't know when it's scheduled, but yeah. Kathy?
Bravo with that. That's wonderful news, number one. The other thing that I want to tell you that Kathy Marr also knows is that keep on the lookout because at least with the last communication, there will be a piece of legislation that's introduced, we think on Friday, that will be an anti book banning bill for public schools. So Lisa Cutter and her colleagues are working on that, and Kathy Marr and I, along with Linda Hutchinson, have been going to the stakeholder meetings with that.
Awesome. So maybe we can put some time aside to have you report back on the progress, what that's all about, and secondly, what the progress is on
Sure.
that legislation. What on the our website on the educational task force, you can get through. That's just on the home page. You can certainly log in as a member and get to these, but you don't have to. You can do it from our public facing page, and it's a little purple icon. And here's where we have some current announcements about our programming and if there's a speaker or what the plans are for the meeting upcoming. We're going to be putting, this is a regular time for our meetings on the second Tuesday of every month at 5:30. So maybe you can put that on your calendar ahead of time. And we've kind of been talking about this as we've gone along, but this is a general statement about what the task force does and our purposes and what we're here to do. They're pretty broad, they're pretty general. And I have a list of things that I wanted to share with you later that I think that we all, a starting point or someplace, there is just a lot going on. That's all I have to say. So some of it, I spent the last couple of months sitting in on task force meetings and not task force meetings, a lot of other partners meetings and what they're doing. And I'll share that with you shortly. But first and foremost, If we take action, it's really, really, really important that you know what our positions are, because we cannot take positions on things that we don't, or we can't do action on things that we don't have positions on. So first is our LWVCO positions for action. And you can click on that button. Can you click on that?
Sure.
And you will see these are the list of the League of Women Voters of Colorado positions for everything. You might want to familiarize yourself. These, I always tell people, these are the tools that we need to have right on top of our desk. So we know what we're doing. So first of all, you can see all this whole list of resources or of positions. But there's one down here, I think, under social policy. You can click on education and that takes you right to this position. I will also say thanks to Deb Stetler, who put a couple sheets, cheat sheets together for both of these. But I'll send those out with our notes and outline of summary of what we did at this meeting and tasks that are need to do. But go through these after the heading of what those positions are. You can read what the history of what kinds of things we've done in the past and what our role has been, and perhaps positions we've taken and legislation that's passed. But this is something, this is one of your homework assignments, is to look at our positions, read through them, familiarize yourself with them. So, you know, as we go through and we start talking about all these issues, you say, oh, this is what we need to do for League. If we get into talking about supporting legislations or policies or issues publicly, sometimes we have to use a couple positions. Sometimes there's other positions in equity and social policy. I have on my list is Advocacy 101, and maybe Kathy and Tony can help us with how they how they do the analysis of all the bills, and also, you know, how do we get to the place where we say we oppose this, we support this in part, but not all the way because we don't like these parts of it. They don't support our philosophy on what it is we think should be done. So that's the state one. Those are all the things that have been created over a period of time, a long period of time, and they've been added to and updated from time to time as well. The other one is the brand new book from LWVUS, which, once again, I put pages in it. I don't think there's direct links. You can download this on your desktop. I always think I'm proud either bookmark this or download it, or I just went to Amazon and ordered a copy for $7 because I'm still one of those hard copy people. But anyway, that's what it looks like. And you
Barb, can you explain the difference between the two?
Oh, yes. Okay. We have a process, a study process, and the position taken at state are the ones that our state leagues and state boards have supported. Now, in order to get to be in the big girls league up at the national level, then they either have to accept a study or approve a study and go through the process of studying it, coming to consensus and voting to for a position. But that's all done by state leagues at a state convention at the national level. So, and sometimes there's positions at the national level that aren't at the state level, and sometimes there's state level ones that have been adopted at the state, and sometimes there's ones that have been not adopted at the national. And we can use what either one or both to support any action we take. And Kathy, you can add anything you want.
I'm gonna, well, yeah, because we do look at when we're reviewing legislation that's coming in, we look at both books because just because of thinking about what is in the text of the bill. We always read the whole text of the bill when we're analyzing it. And sometimes, just as you say, sometimes the US book is more direct for what we need, or the state book and definitely a combination of the two. I just want to say one other thing. I am jazzed that this, our latest edition of the state positions has pre-K 12, higher ed, and school finance all together, which is really lovely because we used to have to go and look at finance in government, at the beginning. So we were bopping all over the place. So I love the fact. So I don't know if your page numbers correspond to all three
Oh,
sections.
yeah, I did look, but I'll double check
Yeah.
what those are to make sure. And why don't you email me too if I didn't get all of them correct? I
Okay.
just looked for education. I know that there's an education component in diversity and equity too.
Mhm.
Not just, so that's what I'm saying. You kind of wonder how, when we say, well, we have a position on this and we take a stance because of that, these are the materials we are working from. And if we can, if we want to take some action on something and we don't have a position, then we can't.
I'm gonna add one other thing.
Sure.
As the legislative session continues, and on Friday, we're gonna have our first legislative action committee meeting. We're gonna be presenting bills that have been introduced because as of yesterday, 131 bills have been introduced. Um, when we write up our summary, that's posted on the LWVCO website with legislative action. So, and we have a format that we look at with that, or that we fill out with that. And one piece of that format are the league positions that support the stance that we're recommending.
Okay, good. And Beth, I think there is a link to the legislative action report on that website.
Take
on our
action.
website.
It's in take action. Nope.
Then take action.
Take action.
We can't get directly to it for our ed thing.
Are you asking me something? I can't tell.
Yes.
If you want to put a link to the legislative action report on the education task force page, we can do that for you.
Okay, good.
Do
But
me a
right now
favor.
you're having to go to take action to get to that, and we can explore. I can see where the time wise is getting
Yeah.
short. So
Yeah.
let's just scroll down and show people what are on it. The other thing in this on our LWVUS, I'm going to say your homework assignment is to read the first, I think it's pages. I was looking to see what it was. I'm sorry, it's on the second page of my paper here. Oh, pages 1 through 10. It's all about taking action.
Yep.
I really, really think people start saying we have to speak with one, we need to speak with one voice and we need to do this and do that. You're going like, whoever said, where is this? This is where all that information is. Please, even if just scan it if you want, know where it is. These are things, once again, we're the principles of the LWVUS. We go back on those because within those principles are, some of the positions on transparency and access. So we blend a lot of things together to get to where we want to go. You just need to know how to get to them. We've listed right now, I think we've listed the things for the state board. Takes us some time to go through this website. I have some suggestions of things I would like to see. Certainly there needs to be some updates because right now we only have 2024 meetings on the State Board of Education and so forth. So there's a lot of resources there that have been posted over time. There's additional resources I would like to get. One example is this new adequacy study and links to that so we know how to get there and get some speakers to help tell us about what that means because there's a lot there on that report.
Do the links to both studies.
Yeah, I will.
Advocacy studies. So
yeah, I will. I have it I've looked it up. I just haven't had a chance to work with and there's some duplications. We need to take that off because we moved the positions up closer where we could find them. And Evie, do we need it? I know there's another update on accountability report too.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. It's the 1241 Accountability Task Force.
Right. No,
If you
thank you.
Google that,
No,
the
I
report, it's on the CDE website.
yes, it is. I found it. So I will have that up and I'll have a link to it. Is it sufficient to take down the 2022 one? Is that history or
Yeah.
do we? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I have one brief thing that I'm going to share. And what I wanted to say, we will continue to winnow down our list. There's a lot of suggestions that people talked about what we need to do. But this is my list for building a foundation for our work, is beginning to understand both our state and national positions, what it means to take action. Maybe we can incorporate, maybe we will incorporate Kathy and Tony and what this whole advocacy piece means, and review the language of advocacy and what's it mean to lobby, what's it mean to take action. And it's all those pages 1 through 10. We need to have a better understanding of our state and local governance, like the boards, the committees, the commissions, what they do, what they can't do. Understand documents, state reports, committee reports, like the adequacy one and the task force one. I put league positions. Part of our job might be doing some research or studies on the various topics, like we were talking about the charter schools and this whole issue about vouchers and what do we need to understand. I'd like to be able to work and collaborate with our other task forces like JEDI, News and Literacy, Civics Education, find out what they're doing and how perhaps we can put programs together so we can get more bang for our buck. And we have threads that go through all of the things that are related to education, with equity, with critical thinking, with teaching kids about our government and how to just understand what's going on. We'll continue to identify our interests and set priorities as we go through. And once again, as I said, I'd like to get some, tap on speakers. Evie's already volunteered to help. If we don't know something and we need to know who's involved and who's taking the lead, we can do that. Oh, I skipped our partnerships and coalitions. I just added the ones I've been involved with more recently as Great Education and A4 PTEP. Certainly they have a list of their priorities and what they're working on. Some are overlapped with ours. Great Education is really focusing on the adequacy study.
You should add PTA.
And pardon me? Oh, add
You
PTA.
should add PTA.
Yep. And I'm going to put our list of our partners up
Okay.
on the website too, because yes, I will definitely add PTA. I was just like going, okay, just to a couple examples, but if you're looking for a place to learn, if you're looking for a place to get involved and take action, or just better understand what's going on, we got the latest and the greatest, and we got a lot of great people working on behalf of the State League. The legislative action committees are really dynamic and are doing great jobs. They're in there on our behalf, supporting our positions and the things that we want to see get done. And they're also there to push back on things we don't want to see happen. There's just so much going on. I've told people I feel like we need to keep our head on a swivel this year. And it may be a crisis comes up and we may plan to do this on one meeting and we're saying, no, we need to find out what's happening here so we can get on top of it and do what we need to do. And for those of you who are involved with, all the local leagues, that, you're going to be the person who is the liaison and can talk to the president or who your advocacy team is and say, this is what's going on in education and we need to get active at the local level. That's my list. My assignments were. Anybody else, I guess, before we kind of sign off tonight, I had a lot of people said things that they wanted to make sure that we had as a topic for discussion or a study or an issue. Is there someone who has any second thoughts or questions about all these things that seem to be overwhelming right now? But hopefully I feel like we can winnow down the list and get started. So thoughts, final thoughts, comments? Did I scare anybody away? I hope not.
Barb, maybe you could, with whatever else you're sending out post this meeting, include a list of the topics that people have suggested, like, charter schools, accountability, finance, blah, blah, blah. So that we
Yeah,
can all
no.
be thinking about those and go, okay, what am I really interested in and what's realistic and what do I think my local league is going to care about? And, so we can come back next time with a little bit of mindset about
Sure.
what,
No, I think that's good. That's why I was having Beth list, call on everybody because I was writing down what you were saying. And, what's important here too is that I know a lot of you are educators and some of you aren't, and some of you have a lot of experience in education and some ideas about what's going on and others don't. But to me, it's a place to learn. It's a place, and we have a lot of people who have a lot of expertise. There's several of us that are crossing different boundaries and between K through 12 or P through 12 and higher education. And there's just all these pieces that a lot of us are involved with. So if you want to know what's happening, it's a good place to be. Before we leave, I'll show you Deb's work and I'll send that along with the list of things. But here's the list of policies she kind of summarized in a couple pages and from both the state and the national. So maybe you can use that as a cheat sheet. But we may not have them complete. I'm not sure from what Kathy said. Check over the list and make sure we've included everything we need for education. If we don't, then we can add new ones on.
Barb, can I add one thing too? I
Sure.
think Deb's request for the list of interest areas that we've expressed is a really good idea because what it can also help us do is heighten our awareness as we're reading our local papers and other publications that we might have subscriptions for, and it'll trigger when we see articles about particular topics.
Okay.
And that will, I think, enhance our understanding as well, or have us question what they're writing about, and if it gels with what we know as well. So
Oh, excellent. I'll tell you what had me going, because we'd kind of been ever since Kathy's retired from being an advocacy director to being LAC education team member. Nobody was really, steering the boat here. But when Project 2025 certainly fired up my engines, and they said, well, we want to get rid of the Department of Education.
Mhm.
Well, okay. Do we know what Department of Education does? Is that a good thing? Is it not a good thing? And then there's all these other things going on at the state level that people are doing. This research on the adequacy studies is really important. It's, what kinds of resources do we need in schools to help kids learn? It's focused on students, not on the whole school district. It's focused on student learning and how much money we need. And Great Education Colorado has really taken that and trying to keep that moving. And if we can keep that, it doesn't have anything in there that I don't think we don't want.
right, right. We have really good partners,
Yes.
between PTA and between A for PEP and
Mhm.
What is the other one? Core or something similar?
Core, and that's, well, that includes CEA and some
Yeah.
ATE, ATF.
Yeah.
So we kind of have our finger on the pulse, and we can also include all these people from these different coalitions to talk to us about what they're doing and what they're active in. I'm one that gets involved, learn about it, learn what you need to do, and let's take action. And however we need to do that, there's a lot of different ways we can, but education, organization, you know, and activation, let's go.
I would say as time permits, if you can get involved with the partner organizations we have that are related to education, your perspectives and ideas will expand so much because you'll have greater background knowledge to go with.
Yeah.
And
A lot of,
AFERPEP will be putting on some forums in the near future that you'll definitely be interested in watching or clicking on or whatever.
nope, and we'll keep those. We'll start putting in the meeting times on our website. So if you want to sit in, or if we don't, we'll probably see if we can get a lot of you to come, but we also let you know. I also have been in touch with Lisa Wheel, and who's
Mhm.
had a great education, Colorado, and she's willing to come talk to us about her project. So this is involvement all over the place. And I guess, we're here to defend democracy, and democracy is being threatened, and we need people to get out engaged in their communities.
Mhm.
And it isn't just at the state level. These other groups are working at the local level too. And we need a team, we need a force, we need leadership in your community to help save our education system. And it needs to improve, granted, but we need to get up and running and get out there. And there are great experts all around us who know where we've been, what we've done, what's worked, what hasn't worked. But now they're trying some new things. So let's see what we can do to support one another. With that, I'm going to say thank you very much. Have a good evening, and I'll see if I can put all these notes together with the list of all the things people talked about. And if not, you can always add something that you want to later, and take time to look at our the state positions booklet, the national booklet, kind of explore the whole thing. That's what League's all about in terms of action and advocacy. So familiarize yourself with that, look over the website, give us any suggestions on what we can add and need to do, and we'll pick up next time and see if we can set some priorities and decide some things that we want to work on. Thank you, and good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome.
Bye-bye.